I'm recording. Hello, everyone. It's me, Natasha Berta, again with Brogan, chatting tea and strategy. We're just actually having bottled water with strategy today because we had coffee with strategy earlier.
We actually need to do a tea and strategy because I don't think we haven't actually had tea yet.
I think we'll have a cup of tea soon, I reckon. And today we're going to talk about fear and creativity, which is a major issue if you're trying to create content, because all the content that you create for your social media platforms and marketing materials, that's a creative act, and fear can be a factor that's going to influence whether or not you can get your creativity to happen. Do you want to just tell everyone a bit about you, Brogan, what you do and your story?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Brogan and I'm a content strategist for creative, heart-centered and determined entrepreneurs. And basically what that means is that I help them get their message out of their head and to their people. So whether that's through their blog or social media, my job is to help them put all of those communication pieces together so that they can reach the people that they need to reach.
So this must be something you get to look at a bunch with your clients. Like, do you find that people get into a fear space when they're trying to create content?
Definitely. I think we all do as creatives, and even people who don't necessarily consider themselves as a creative, you know, like you said in the intro, like the act of creating anything, any kind of content kind of makes you a creative. And I think it's definitely something that we all face at different times, like totally including myself in this. And, you know, it can kind of manifest itself in different ways. It can be straight out fear. It can be self-doubt. It can be getting caught up in perfectionism, which, you know, like Elizabeth Gilbert says, is pretty much just like a, you know, fancy version of fear. So, you know, it all kind of, even if you kind of think, oh no, I don't feel fearful about creating, there's kind of lots of different ways that it manifests itself. So more often than not, it is definitely something that like we all struggle with from time to time.
Yeah, I guess the word fear for me makes me think, oh, I'm not really scared, but stuff does come up for me, and perfectionism is one that it comes up and then I just go, because seriously nothing would ever get done. I've been saying to people, you know, perfectionism is like the enemy of doing anything creative. It's just, you're not going to do anything if you're waiting for it to be perfect. And with a website, like thinking that, oh, I just want to get it XYZ before I publish. I'm like, just publish. Like, if it's so new, number one, no one's even going to see it. and even if they did, like, really, what's the worst thing that could happen? I guess if you really are delivering a very polished product where you're positioning yourself as an expert, then I could see why you would want to hold out. But there is a place where your website is never ending, and it's not like you're going to publish and then you're going to walk away and it's over. Like, it's a constantly evolving practice.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, I kind of like to look at it as, because I know like people also kind of say that like perfection and perfectionism are the same thing. I don't really believe that. I kind of think that, you know, perfectionism is that thing that, you know, you get caught, you get stuck where you are right now. You can't progress further because you're trying to make it absolutely the best it can be in this moment right now, and you're not going to move forward until you achieve that. Whereas to me, perfection is something that is this kind of lifelong journey. It's something that you're not going to achieve, you're not going to reach until, you know, the end of your life kind of thing. It's this whole kind of journey. And I think by kind of getting caught up in it now, it's like expecting ourselves to have all these years of wisdom, all these years of experience that we're not going to have until the end of our life. Like right now, it's like we're trying to be like, no, I have to be everything. I have to do all the things like right now. And I think that, I mean, and like, you know, we all get caught up in that. We all want to put out good work into the world. That's like completely normal. But I think it's just, you know, I love when you see you know, really successful entrepreneurs who do just like put things out there that are not super duper polished or that are not like perfect. And it just acts as this really awesome reminder that you know, they're running like multi-million-dollar businesses, but what's more important is the message. What's more important is the content that you're actually putting out there. And a really good example of that is Denise Duffield-Thomas. I love that she does her videos like just on her Mac with her iPhone headphones. And, you know, I remember in one video she was basically saying like, because she films like all of her videos like at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And she was just like, you know, I was just getting caught up because I couldn't find my microphone. I'd lost it. And so I was just like, kept putting off doing videos because, oh no, I need to get a new microphone. Otherwise it's not going to look right. And then she was like, stuff it. Like, I don't care what people think that, you know, oh, I've got my iPhone headphones on. Like, I don't care what people think about that. This is about me getting my message out there. And I was just like, thank you, Denise. Like,
she is the bomb.
It was so good.
She's good like that. Yeah, and we were talking about the Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert before we came on, and how much we've both gained from that. And now I've turned into another person just raving about that book, which you know, like last Christmas when it came out and everyone was like, oh my God, I've got the book. I was like, oh, another one. And I resisted reading it as well. I don't know if it's because I'm a rebel, but I just didn't understand how it was going to benefit me. And I don't even remember what triggered me to turn around and read it. But I know I was developing this idea for a group program, and I'd been talking about it, and I'd done some course materials, like it had been fermenting in me. And then I listened to one chapter of that book. I listened to it as an audio book, and I remember just being parked in front of my kids' school. I just dropped them off and realizing that I needed to take action. Like that was the moment where I needed to it needed to stop being something I was talking about and just take the next step and then the next step and just go beyond. And I don't know if I was in fear, but I think there was a lot of stuff going on. Like I had a little bit of other business or other life envy, you know, where you look too much at other people's creations and start to feel the weight of like, oh, mine won't be as good, or can I really do this, or all the other rubbish that comes up. And just realizing I needed to block out. So, I mean, there's times where I actually realize I'm not happy in my business because I'm looking out too much, and I need to just shut the doors and just come in and tap into my awesomeness again.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that bit that she talks about, you know, in the book, how nobody is fearless. Like there's not, you know, there's not any way for you to kind of completely conquer your fear or completely get over your fear. Like as soon as you kind of, you know, again, it's kind of all just experience, and it's just slowly pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and stretching out your comfort zone so that things that you used to find really scary, you know, 6 months ago, maybe now no longer feel scary to you. But then there's always going to be something else, like the next thing coming up that you're going to be like, I'm really scared to do that. Like that is freaking me out. Yeah. And it's, you know, I think it's just, again, like taking that step back, and that's why it's so powerful to like look at how far you've come and to celebrate those small wins, because, you know, it's easy to kind of think, oh, I haven't really achieved much, or I'm not as far along as what I should be. But, you know, by kind of recognizing, you know, like even for me, like I used to hate the idea of being on video. Like it just would completely freak me out. I was like, no, don't want to be on camera. Hate the way, whatever. I just don't want to do it. And just by like, you know, slowly kind of easing into it. I haven't done live video yet, but I've, you know, done recorded videos. I'm doing interviews and stuff like this. Like it's just slowly easing yourself into it until it no longer scares you as much.
Absolutely.
And it's, you know, it's like you said, like just taking those little baby steps, just taking one step at a time. Yeah. And then, you know, taking the time to look back and like, you know, see how far you've actually come and how much you've actually achieved.
Yeah, I love to do a bit of it every day. Like I have a little planner I made for myself, and every day I haven't done it every day, but there is a spot on the planner for celebrating every day. And that has helped me so much to just actually take the time to look at what connections I made, maybe what revenue I generated, what I actually did. Like I wrote that blog post, or I got on social media and I posted in groups. Like that's a thing that I did for my business growth. And celebrating is massive. So I do a daily celebration. I do a weekly celebrate session, and I do a monthly one, and I did a 90-day one when I'd done 90-day planning. And it's just a total game changer. And another thing I thought of while you were talking is about fear, because I found it so interesting the way Elizabeth Gilbert said she was so fearful as a child, like in Big Magic.
Yeah.
And I think I am not like the word fear doesn't resonate for me because I am not fearful, or I don't feel like I get scared of things. And I think in a way I should probably be dead. Like, I think she's right. Like, fear keeps you alive. It's like very protective. And I have another friend who's similar. Like, she's equally fearless. And at some level it's like, well, things that happened to me in my 20s that were messed up that I really kind of wish hadn't happened wouldn't have happened if I'd been a bit more fearful, because I would have been more sensible. So it is kind of an interesting spectrum of experience. Like, yeah, your fear is keeping you alive and your fear is actually really helping you, but it can get to the point where it, like she says, like, fear can come in the car and come for the trip with us, but fear's not driving. So I guess, yeah, there's a place where is fear driving, and if fear is driving and making decisions, you're not going to get outside the comfort zone and grow, and probably you're not going to succeed because there is the discomfort in being in business. I got to have an 8-week cycle where I'm 7 weeks, I'm pumped, and then 1 week I'm like, I want a job. I hate this shit. What am I even doing? And there are times when it's hard to remember that that's not going to last, but it does tend to pass.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, like, you know, like we were saying, it's recognizing that fear comes in so many different forms. Like, it can be the straight out, I am so scared, I don't want to do this, like heart beating in your chest, like you completely freaking out. Or it can also just be that like nagging self-doubt, that nagging like, should I really be doing this? Like, should I hit publish on this? What are people going to think? Like, there's like this huge spectrum of what it can actually look like. And I think it's just recognizing, one, that it's completely 100% normal and that we're all going to feel it at some stage. And two, in just like kind of embracing that kind of uncomfortable creativity and just knowing that that's the thing that's going to push you out of your comfort zone. That's the thing that's going to help you kind of, you know, to get better and to grow and to kind of evolve on your journey. And it's just, you know, kind of hitting publish even if you don't think it's ready, or, you know, posting that video even if you think you're a bit too stiff or your voice sounds funny. It's like, it's just taking those like little steps and just, you know, just taking that first step and just getting stuff out there. And like, yeah, like what's the worst that could happen? Absolutely.
And I'd love it if anyone makes it this far in the video, if they comment below, like, what's something that you think you know you need to do that you've got some kind of block around. And maybe you can comment as well, like, how does your fear manifest? Like, I know I get a lot of life envy. I don't even know what category that comes into, but I get too much of looking at what everyone else is doing, which then triggers me to start thinking that I'm not good enough, or who do I think I am, or there's no point doing it because it's been done. So what flavor does your fear come in, and what's something that you know you need to push through? I mean, maybe we can hold you accountable. I love a bit of holding people accountable.
Oh yeah, accountability is good. Yeah. I think like, yeah, no, sorry, I was just going to say, I think like what you described is like, I mean, it's kind of called like either comparisonitis, or I know Marie Forleo calls it Comparschlager. Like, it's just this, which I absolutely love her story about that. It's so good. But you know, and I definitely, I think that is definitely my kind of my main flavor of fear in that sense, is that, yeah, it's so easy to get, especially, and, you know, I know a lot of people kind of say, oh, we'll just like unsubscribe from them or stop following them on social media. And it's like, for me, that kind of doesn't really gel, because I kind of feel like I'm running away from it in that sense. And it's like, I'm kind of someone, I'd rather face things head on. Like, I know that I'm very good at burying my head in the sand about things. And so for me, by just like unfollowing someone or unsubscribing from their email list, that's not going to solve the problem, because it's like that whole thing, you can't run away from your problems. And so for me, it's more that kind of mindset work that has to come with it. And so that every time they do pop up in my feed, I just go, okay, let's just acknowledge that, okay, I'm feeling a bit of like, I'm comparing myself to this person right now. But let's just celebrate like what they've achieved and recognize that, one, they've probably been in business longer than I have. So of course they're further ahead. And, you know, and it's just kind of, yeah, being much more mindful about and recognizing like when it happens, to you, and just acknowledging it so that you can deal with it, and that you don't just kind of bury your head in the sand about it.
Yeah, and Denise Duffer Thomas is a great one for if you're jealous of someone else's life. It's like, it's probably that you want that. And so just claim that. Just go, yes, like I want that 7-day snowboarding trip, or I want my website to look that good, or I want my photos to look that good, and just actually acknowledge that that's what's triggering you, is that you want that for you, and set that as a goal for yourself and work towards that, and actually incorporate that in your growth, but don't let it stop you from taking the next step.
Yeah, exactly. It's like let it fuel you. Let it fuel you to like drive you forward, and to like give you that momentum that you need to achieve whatever the goal is, whether it's the trip or the fancy website or the whatever 6-figure business or whatever. Like, use that to drive you, and don't let it stop you, because like they were where you were, however many years ago. Everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Let's wrap it up. We rock. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, you can subscribe if you're on YouTube, or like it, or comment. Tell us what's your next level, what's your fear, what do you know you need to do. I know I'm probably going to do a podcast, I think. I sort of have so many feelings about that. That would be my next thing. How about you? What's your next thing that you're like, I don't want to, I want to?
Kind of tossing between two. So I've been like toying with the idea of starting my own Facebook group, and also doing live video, because I haven't done that yet, and I know it's something that I really need to do. So that's my two things.
Totally do that. Cool. We'll say bye for now, and we'll see you next time for Tea and Strategy.